it, okay. So what I'm saying is the weather here is fluctuating. So if I look a bit strange, the clouds will come back very, very soon, I can assure you. The thoughts, our thoughts are prayers is our talk today. That is one of our favourite Unity songs, and we've got that coming up with the words. And I know we've been singing that over about 10 years, I'd say. So the first line, our thoughts are prayers. And the second line is, we are always praying. I quote from the First Thessalonians 5, verse 16 to 18. Pray without ceasing. Give thanks in all circumstances. So this is putting the divine awareness of the divine mind in all areas of our lives. And at some level, all thoughts are prayers, even though we may not be intentional about it. I look back over the last 20 years, and I was always intrigued by old churches. And I used to photograph them wherever I went, and I had a scrapbook of them somewhere. And of course, I come from one of the most beautiful old churches in Penguin, Tasmania, an old Methodist church. And Penguin, we hoped it was going to stay very quiet, but unfortunately, they're advertising Penguin as the new Byron Bay of Tasmania. So look out, locals. But some things change, of course, but I look here I am with all those photographs of churches, my thoughts and feelings about them. I went out the front this morning, and from my church, my home, I could see up on the hill the Presbyterian Church. I could see just down the road an old Anglican hall that's been abandoned, which the town are thinking of putting back together again. And in my next neighbour in the paddock out the back by my alpacas is the Anglican church. And there are 10 cars there as we speak. I don't think they ring the bell anymore, but I thought, this is amazing. Look what I've put into my mind and look what I have created, for better or for worse. So our feelings are also prayers. So what feelings are we sending out? Well, we can tell by the results of our circumstances, but they're subtle, aren't they? Because something comes up, you think, oh, I don't like that, or I like that, or I think they could do this. And I know someone that can't even go into a room without saying, oh, you should do this, you should do that, and you should do this. And you think, oh, look, stop it, that's enough. But it's important that we take time to realize what we are thinking consciously and, scarily enough, subconsciously. Our mind, our thinking capacity is always working for us because it is our creative center. And in and through this faculty, we build our world. But the good news is we can control it. We can take dominion over our thoughts and feelings. But we have to work at it. Favorite writer Eric Butterworth, some of you know, from the book Celebrate Yourself. You are not the mind, you have a mind. You have the power to control its function. And you control your thoughts and feelings and take charge of your life. End of quote. But this takes diligence. Descartes had that saying, I think, therefore I am. I get into trouble with people because I say I am before I think. So that's caused many an upset with different people. So our mind, God bless it, is like a swinging door. It can go both ways. It can be influenced by outer conditions, good or not so good, or we can learn to go within and tap that inner wisdom and be guided and live by that. So, who is controlling our thoughts? What are we allowing into our mind? We're bombarded with many things that we may not consciously be aware of. Some going on at a very subliminal level. Look at the power of advertising and the way it appeals to our senses. Forgetting about the giant TV screens and holographs and laser productions and Netflix and all these sort of things, in my childhood, we had the black and white television and we had the radio, which had the ABC and one local station. And also we had the magazines. And from a little house across the road here, when I ripped up the carpet, I found a wonderful collection of the Australian Women's Weekly magazines from 1969. Now, some of the advertisements in that were, how lovely you look tomorrow depends on how well you clean your face tonight. Use Pond's cream, Pond's cold cream. So there you are, that's all it takes, we were told. That's from 1959. Now this one's a bit scary because when you think what this went out to people of our parents and grandparents' generation, this was the sort of thing that was bombarding them while they were listening to Portia Face's Life or Dr. Paul or any one of those old radio serials. For real smoking pleasure, the popular choice is turf. Turf gives you a real smoke. That's because there is no filter between you and the flavour of fine Virginia tobacco. If you're an active Australian who enjoys life to the full, then turf is your smoke. Wow, haven't we changed? But it makes you wonder when you see some elderly people now that probably are suffering because of things like that, that went into their consciousness subliminally. That was from 1969. And I see there's other things as well. We just go into the supermarket, there's giant TV screens everywhere. It's amazing. Some for good things too. So each of us, here we go, each of us is surrounded by our own atmosphere that we've created over the time with our character. Our thoughts, words, and actions have built up, and this can be felt. And even places have thought atmospheres. I know we meet someone and we feel an atmosphere about them. Not necessarily a judgment, but it's probably something we do for self-protection. Some people you think, I'll stand back here a little bit, or I won't say anything there. I remember playing in the piano bars in the city, different people would come in and there were chairs around the piano, and I'd try not to make eye contact with them because, you just didn't need to know. And other people would come in and you'd welcome them in, but others you'd sit back. Places have got these atmospheres. And this was explained and demonstrated right in our Unity Sanctuary when we had a chap who used to hire the hall and present different weird and wonderful things on a Wednesday night. I used to love it. He had some infrared cameras and he went round old pubs and churches and old houses around the Ballarat area, which is quite scary. And he showed you photographs. And in some of these photographs taken with the infrared, in one, there was a chair on this old pub. Then, a little bit later, the same chair, there was a figure sitting in it. There it was. And he had a few of those sort of things. And we can feel different rooms in our own places that, are better to work with than others. So to me, that was a great example of atmospheres. And some people who are clairvoyant can pick up atmospheres very quickly. And I've had some reasonably accurate readings over the time, and they've been based on my strongest thoughts and feelings. Some of you may or may not know Gordon Michael Scannion. He was a psychic from about 10 years ago. He seemed to be quite accurate in predicting earth movements and earthquakes. He also wrote No prophecy is final. Prophecies are probabilities given so that the consciousness can alter the event, modify the change, or at the very least, help prepare for what is to come. So if I go and have a reading, and which I don't do much these days, someone says to me, you know, this is going to happen in your life, I can accept that, but they're giving the reading on what my thoughts are, which could bring that about. Some, of course, are in stone, but a lot of them aren't. And the good news is we can change our thinking and change our lives in a way that reflects more health, prosperity, and happiness. And more importantly, keep us balanced during the ups and downs of the many cycles of life, because we know we're here as spiritual beings. We're here to expand in consciousness, and we'll be tested. There's no doubt about it. So the power we have is how we respond to it. Now, without getting into the mechanics of the different levels of mind, which is a study in itself, and we've had that here, the first step to experience a change in thoughts and feelings is what we in Unity New Thought call denials and affirmations. Very, very powerfully put sentences. And thoughts and words have creative power when combined with feeling and visualization and faith. When we're ready to take dominion and do the work, we'll use them. We use them wisely and scientifically. We're going to be repeating one later, our prosperity affirmation. But I'll give you an example now. I am open and receptive to receiving the abundance required to meet any situation in my life now. I am now ready to receive all that is mine by divine right, and I give thanks that it is on its way to me now. And I affirm that, and I see it happening. We often say there is one presence and one power in the universe, and we are each an individual expression of that power. You've heard us speakers say it many, many times. This power is the source of everything. All things have their idea in this one mind. Thinking brings the idea into the visible. As the Bible says, the Word made flesh. Physical creation is the word of eternal idea, God's idea. We try not to use that word too much now, but it is still part of our vocabulary. But as we move on to be more contemporary in our spiritual approach, we can use words like infinite intelligence, spirit, great spirit. That idea remains the same and everything is in it already. I'm going to take my time here. The purpose of creation is that the creator may express, and the purpose of the individual creation is that the creator may be expressed through and by the individual. I quote a lot of Yogananda, The Autobiography of a Yogi. It's a great book. He says, the nature of spirit is motionless. The nature of creation is motion. Matter is materialized mind stuff. So infinite intelligence, it's all there in it. We can access it, but we didn't create it, but we can create with it. Everything is already there in the mind of spirit. We have to unfold to express it. And from one of my favorite books, Nona Brooks, in her book, we speak of the discovery of a new star. We mean it is a discovery of a star that belongs to the ages. It's already there. It is something new to our understanding, but not new to truth. In our use of electricity, we have not made a new truth, but we have discovered the use of an eternal truth. And Nona goes on to say, the light of electricity that now brightens the homes might have illuminated the Garden of Eden if mankind had then known of its presence and the laws of its use. Now I'm just getting conscious of time, so to sum up, we are angels. I love that song. And the reason I'm linking this in is because our thoughts are prayers. And the result of this is that our thoughts take wings to find manifestation. How does this happen? Well, because of my early Sunday school upbringing, I imagined angels to have wings and be, as the book says, harbinger of good tidings. Metaphysically, the word angel means messenger, according to the Revealing Word by Charles Fillmore. And the Latin angelus incognitus means messengers who would like to remain anonymous. So our thoughts, prayers, and feelings are usually answered by people like yourself, and how we treat one another and what we think of one another. And as I look back at my life, it does seem miraculous how some people have been there at the right time to give us the right helping hand and encourage us. They can see something in us that is in our mind, probably subconsciously to us, but they can see, that person has a talent. That one has signs of greatness. That one will be quiet, but they'll be brilliant at this. So these people come into our lives for a certain time, and then quietly we look around one day and they've disappeared. I remember Margaret Schofield, my music teacher, saying the purpose of a teacher is to make themselves redundant. That's the sign of success. But that's, you have to be pretty humble to say that sort of thing. A verse that means more to me now than it did when I was young, Hebrews 13 verse 3, be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unaware. Our thoughts are prayers, but we can take dominion over them, over these thoughts of what we are thinking, praying, and feeling. But we have to do the work to have this happen. And we've got plenty of hope for that. Thank you, everybody. And so it is. Thank you.